Hello, this is Sharp Eyes coming at you live. And helping me cast is my good buddy, Crucifix.
Hello.
Alright, looks like we have two players facing off in a deathmatch. First player will be SupSon.
SupSon?
The orange Zerg player spawning in the top left-hand corner. And Crucifix, will you introduce the other player?
Well, everyone knows JoNBoy in the bottom right-hand corner playing Protoss. Looks like we're going to have an exciting PvZ today on PvZ. Should be pretty fun.
One of the premier ladder maps of this year's GSL season.
Premier. Picked by... Now, one thing about this map is the choke for the natural is quite wide. It's really hard as a Terran player for me to wall this off. So you can't really go for a CC first, and it's hard to protect when you're trying to do like a one barracks fast expand. But since this is a Protoss player and he already set out a pylon out there, he might think about going for a forge fast expand, walling it off with some buildings.
The choke is pretty wide, but it seems like the Protoss player has tactically put down that pylon.
So that'll do the trick. So yeah, the forge was put down. So it's looking like we are looking for a forge fast expand from JoNBoy, and then SupSon put down his spawning pool. What supply was he at when he put that spawning pool down?
You know what? I actually don't know, but it actually seems like he is spawning 6 Zerglings. So this is very indicative of a 10 pool.
This might have been. I mean, it is yeah. It's looking like several Zerglings coming across the field for a little bit of early pressure. Some people could call this a cheese. Other people could call it just strategic play. And this is what I'm talking about with this wide choke right here. This map is pretty good for Zerg cheese, because if you can get those Zerglings in there before they can block it off, then there's nothing they can do. But he does end up. I think he did a full wall.
He did do a full seal.
Yeah,
it looks like those lings will not be able to get inside.
That was very smart by the Protoss player, knowing about that wide choke and doing a full seal on the wall and 2 photon cannons, which 2 photon cannons you don't usually see with this kind of a wall. You usually only see 1, but he went for the extra protection, and he's not going to be breached anytime soon. The Zerg player could try a Bailey bust sometime in the future. No time anytime soon, because he doesn't even have gas yet. But as for right now, there's no the Zerg player is definitely not going to be getting into this base, and the Protoss player isn't going to be getting out. So
looks like a very interesting play by the Protoss player, as he actually cancels that second cannon.
He did. That's strange. I think he put the second cannon there to prevent maybe an early ling rush, but when he realized his first cannon was good enough, he went ahead and just canceled it and said, why don't I just put my cybernetics core here instead?
Learning on the fly.
Very nice. And he did put down his expansion before the Zerg player, actually, so not something you see too often.
Correct. It does look like a very interesting tactical decision by the Zerg player.
He is going to try to take that cannon down
inside.
I think he will take the cannon down.
He will take down that cannon.
He does have 3 Zerglings left attacking the pylon. I don't know about his decision to attack the pylon, but I guess it does make a little bit. It does make sense, because if he can get this pylon down, he can shut down Protoss's only warp gate. So it is a very good decision by the Zerg player to attack this pylon.
It looks like the pylon will be going down. This is a very
right at the last second to help fight these Zerglings. If he had gotten that pylon just a fraction of a second beforehand, that would have been even worse. But it's really, I mean, honestly, it's only 2 lings. I'm actually surprised that the Protoss doesn't just attack with probes. But I guess like by the same token, it's only two Zerglings, so it's even going to take a little while to take down a probe. Except for it seems like they made short work of that one.
Looking at the workers killed count, we do see that the lings have killed 3 probes, which is quite a lot. As the Forge Fast Expand, you really want those probes early in.
Because you spent so much money. Oh, looks like he did start the wall once again, and the Zerg player is really hitting hard with this early pressure with these Zerglings. The cannons are doing an okay job, but the Zealot is by himself, and the Protoss player doesn't even have anything else. He doesn't even have any other army units being made right now. Focusing mostly on the photon cannons and and probe production, but he has 300 minerals, so I mean he can afford to make probes and army units right now. And what's interesting is he had 3 queued up at his natural and 0 queued up at his main, and he's still not making any probes from his main. So he really needs to make probes from both of these. I mean, that's the whole point of a Forge Fast Expand. Get 2 nexuses down early, make 2 probes at once instead of waiting. I mean, he does have a lot of photon cannons now, so he should prevent any further Ling harass.
Yeah, it seems he has been neglecting his main nexus for one reason or another, but looks like at least 1 probe is still being made.
So now he's making them from his main. He has 3 queued plus a mothership core and 0 from his natural. So it seems like he has a hard time making probes from both. But going back to the Zerg player, it looks like the Zerg he's almost finished his 3rd. Only has 1 drone on. Oh, now he has 5 on his natural, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be droning up on his 3rd. What do you think? Do you think that the fact that he applied early pressure like that gives him the comfort he needs to just drone up right now?
I honestly think that that early pressure was pretty decent, but the lack of a queen here really seems detrimental to the Zerg's economy at this point.
Yeah, he's had a spawning pool since 10 supply. He's at 40 now, and he only has he does have 2 queens. And he's gonna get his 3rd now, but he didn't have it for a long time. Is that correct?
It actually looks like that queen was wandering around, not hitting those inject timings.
I see. Yep. He did put down a roach farm, so it looks like we're gonna have a little roach play going on. He is making, if you look at the production tab, he is making 4 overlords. Make sure he doesn't want to get supply blocked, and I think he was supply blocked for a second there. And now he's continuing to make a drone and getting his upgrades started. And 8 roaches.
Looks like roaches will be getting pumped out. Will we see a good timing attack done here by the Zerg?
Well, I mean, honestly, with those 8 roaches and the 6 Zerglings he has on the field, he still has a bigger army than the Protoss player. Well, but it's getting that difference is getting smaller and smaller as time goes on. The Protoss player now does have 5 zealots, which would. Anybody knows that 5 zealots would take out 6 lings any day, but those roaches, the zealots aren't as good against those roaches, and he only has, and they're definitely good against stalkers. So we'll see what happens there.
Going back to the Zerg player, we see that he does have his 2nd expansion up. It actually looks like he is not producing many units, opting for 5 spine crawlers.
It's actually kind of curious. He got 3 spore crawlers at his main instead of spine crawlers, so he really doesn't want any air harass, but that's not going to help him too much against any early ground aggression, and Protoss isn't really known. I mean, I guess he's worried about Oracle play maybe, but I would say that at least 1 spine crawler would have been a good addition to that.
Looks like the roaches will be dispatching of those zealots, and doesn't look like much action going on by either player.
It looks like they're just they're kind of sitting back, droning up and getting their economy going. The Zerg player has been on 3 bases for quite a while. It looks like the Protoss player has now fully saturated both his main and his natural. We'll see if he'll take a 3rd anytime soon. The Protoss player is currently he is making his 1st Colossi, so he is going Colossus and getting both armor level 1 and extended thermal lance for his Colossi. So investing heavily into those Colossus, hopefully they work out for him. Still making probes, which is good, and another robotics facility.
there is a saying somewhere out there where a Colossi without a thermal lance is a useless Colossi, and I think it is very true, especially in the Protoss vs Zerg matchup, as those Hydralisks and Roaches actually have so much range that without the extended thermal lances, Colossi are useless without that range upgrade.
Right. I mean, if you have the Protoss attacking you at the maximum range of the Roaches and the Hydras, and the Colossi would literally be doing nothing unless they were right out front, which is where you would never want your Colossi anyway. So, yeah, you're right. The extended thermal lance is extremely important upgrade. Looks like we do have an immortal. We do have an immortal and +1 attack up for the Protoss player. So he still is just getting his army ready to go. I would say that he probably could afford a little bit more production right now. Or at least could afford to be making more units, because he does have 3 warp gates here that are not warping in anything, and he has almost 1,700 minerals. So he really needs to try and focus on making more army units while he still has the chance before these roaches come and attack him, which they are right now.
Roaches are moving in. I wonder which base they're going. They're going to try to hit the natural.
Now, there are a lot of photon cannons there, but there is a really good arc, and it looks like the Colossi will drive the Zerg player away. He knows that he can't get through the photon cannons and the Colossi at the same time. So he's going to go ahead and move back to his base, group up, and maybe try again in the future. Looks like the Protoss player might just move out, which isn't a bad idea. He does have 3 Colossi now. But I don't know if he has. Do you think he has? Do you think he has quite enough meat to protect his Colossi, or it looks like he has an okay ground force, but it doesn't look like the Colossi to Stalker ratio is quite high enough.
It actually looks like the Protoss player needs a bit more zealots, or at least some more gateway units to tank.
And again, he has the minerals and the gateways to do it. He just seems to choose. He just seems like he doesn't want to right now. There is a battle going on here, though. Roaches does look like the Roaches were on the move command there. Are going to be attacking those Stalkers. Looks like the Mutas are going to focus down all these Colossi. They will all fall. Running is futile, and he should have just stayed there and tried to kill as many Roaches as possible. It's
looks
looking
like Mutas will be taking down the Colossi. Stalkers trying to chase them down, but
I'm surprised the Mutas didn't attack these Stalkers warping in here. Probably could have killed those before they even entered the battlefield. But it looks like the Mutas are headed straight for the 3rd base, and there is absolutely nothing over here that is going to take them down. Meanwhile, the Protoss is doing a full retreat back to his natural, and he's going to hide behind the... Oh, no, he is going to go respawn to that Nexus Rats, but he's not going to get there in time. Nexus will go down. Looks like he's just going to stand right at the top of his ramp in case the Mutas try to come into his natural expansion.
It actually looks like the double Robo Bay build here will be limiting the Protoss into a anti-ground build, which the Zerg is taking full advantage of.
It is.
Crucifix, do you think the Protoss should go air at this point?
I think he at least needs. I think definitely he at least needs some answer to the Mutas. I mean, Stalkers aren't. Stalkers would do the trick, but it doesn't look like, and doesn't look like he's working in quite enough, and he still doesn't have. Oh well, before I continue with that, it looks like we have some action over in the top right-hand corner. The Stalkers are trying to take out both the Mutas and the Roaches.
Will this go down?
Honestly, it might, because the Protoss upgrades are at 1-1, and the Zerg still only has 0-1. So, it doesn't look like the Protoss. Oh, but the reinforcements are here for both the Zerg and the Protoss. It's looking. Oh, this is going to be such a close battle. It looks like the Protoss does run away. I honestly don't know if he had. Okay, no. I think he did make the right decision there. The Zerg had just a little too much, especially with all these reinforcements coming. Look at all these Roaches marching across the field. And does the Protoss have anything back at this base to defend it? Doesn't look like he does. And honestly, again, with he has so many minerals, so many warp gates, but I think all of the micro has made him drop down a little bit on his macro and didn't get as many Stalkers as he could have while he was fighting that battle.
Looks like the Zerg player will be taking out the second expansion of
He's
the
to get in a good
player.
position here with all of his stalkers if he's going to even have a chance. It's looking like, let's see if everybody is still at 1-1, and I don't even think, oh, he's not, he isn't researching, he doesn't even have a Twilight Council, so he can't get those second tier upgrades. It looks like we are going to stay with Colossi and Gateway units for the remainder of this battle, and both players seem to be at a little stalemate. Neither one of them want to make a move. The Zerg player probably made a little bit of a mistake there. Probably could have pushed in and maybe even ended the game, but it was the Protoss player did have some stalkers. It would have been fairly close, and he would have had the support from these photon cannons. So maybe the Zerg player just wants to get an overwhelming force before moving in. Meanwhile, the Protoss is massing once again.
Absolutely. Looks like the Zerg player will be trying to move in with some Mutalisks.
Now, you see the Protoss player did put a hidden base in the left-hand side here, but the Zerg player just scouted that with a drone, which is really smart from the Zerg player. And meanwhile, the Zerg player is now on 6 bases. He has now expanded 3 times concurrently. And so it looks like Zerg is now going to go take out this Nexus. This should be canceled. It may not be, however.
And it also looks like the Zerg is also moving.
He is moving
in
across
with some Mutalisks on the other side of the map. I wonder what happened over there, as he actually retreated his Mutalisks. Well,
the Protoss player did look like he moved his stalkers in there a little bit, but the thing is, the Zerg player has just overwhelming control of this map right now. 6 bases, none of them mining yet, but he is the Protoss player is about to find out about this base right next to his, though, because he's trying to build a Nexus on it. And when his probe gets over there, he's going to find out and most likely go over there to attack it. So this base will almost surely go down unless the Zerg player decides that's the time to just send in all his forces. And it might not be a bad idea, because if the Protoss player gets out of position trying to kill this base, which he is taking his whole army to do, the Zerg player could move in to his natural and take out the whole thing. So we'll see if that's the choice he makes. And it's looking like the Zerg player is moving. He's not going to move in. He's choosing to stay where he is and just make, because he knows that he's on 5 bases and knows the Protoss is on 2. So I guess he just feels safe enough to just not even move in until he's absolutely positive he's going to win. And if you look at his base, it looks like he's got several swarm hosts. He has 15 swarm hosts right now sitting at his main base. So, and a Nidus network. So he is definitely looking to do some exciting play here in a few minutes.
Looks like a Nidus worm is going to go down the front. Looks like those locusts will be making their way into the tunnel.
He's definitely just going to pop his locusts.
Mutalisks are taking out this.
Oh, he did. He popped. Oh, he did. He got the gas, which and he didn't lose a single Mutalisk. So that was some really good harass by the Zerg player. The ball from the Protoss player isn't too bad right now. Oh, can he catch these swarm hosts out of position? It looks like the majority of them will get buried. Does lose a couple, and and the Mutalisks catch the Colossi out in the back here. It doesn't look like those Tuckers know what to focus. All of the Colossi go down. I think the Mutalisks and the Roaches will go down here for the Zerg player, but does the Protoss have does he have detection right now? It looks like the Nice Worm went down, but it looks like no, he doesn't have detection. The Zerg player really needs to bury the Swarm Host, and nope, that Swarm Host will go down. What's interesting, though, is that the splash damage from the thermal lance is actually killing the Swarm Hosts, even though he has no detection. So, honestly, if the Protoss player just keeps his Colossi right next to these locusts, he could kill these Swarm Hosts without even needing an Observer, which he gets now anyways. But that would have been some smart play from the Protoss player.
Looks like the Observer will be coming in, cleaning up those Swarm Hosts.
And if there was ever a time... Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to ask?
Crucifix, do you think these Infestors back here will hold off this attack?
Oh, well, I mean, honestly, I think his strategy is going to be fungal and locust. So keep them where they are. Make it so that they can't move into his swarm host and kill him with free units. But honestly, right now it's looking like the Protoss is just moving across the map, taking out those expansions one by one. But still, if you remember, the Zerg is still on 4 bases. The Protoss has mined out every single mineral he has. He has 130 minerals left until he's completely mined out. He does have this 3rd base up and running, which he's needed for a long time. So it's a good thing he's gotten that. Now we just have to see if the Protoss decides to move out or not. Doesn't look like he will. The Zerg player still has an economic advantage, and I think the Zerg is just going to mass up again and go for another big Nidus Worm attack, is what I would expect to see.
Also, the interesting thing is that the Protoss barely got these 2 assimilators up and running again. Judging by the mineral to gas ratio, it looks like the Protoss is gas starved.
And you know, that could be one of the reasons he has such high mineral count right now, because you know, you get in this position where the units you want to make cost gas and you don't have any. And a lot of people, and I think what he really needs to be doing right now is warping in. He's at 114 supply versus 148. He needs to be warping in mass zealots right now. There's no reason not to. He has the minerals. He doesn't have the gas to make much of anything else. So he needs to be making, and it looks like he is going to be warping in 9 zealots just as I say that. So I'm glad that he's taking that route. And and he could even add more warp gates. Would be a good idea now that he has that 3rd. And I would recommend that he takes a 4th. While the Zerg is no longer harassing him, and he's on the back foot after that failed attack, I would say that he could take a 4th, which he is. Okay, there's some smart play coming from the Protoss right now.
Very smart play indeed. Looks like the Zerg player will be massing Infestor Roach.
Oh, and here's this could be the big battle. And oh, those Infestors, they're not doing. They finally throw down some Infested Terrans, and they get one good fungal in. That was actually one really good fungal. But he lost a few of those He lost a few of those Infestors, and maybe lose a few more of those Colossi.
Yeah, it looks like the
Infested Terrans are doing
the Zerg
really
army
good
was
work,
really narrow, and allowed the Protoss to just AoE the shit out of the Zerg army.
Yeah, no, it looks like the 4th is gonna go down, which is kind of a big deal because that was his main mining base. He's oversaturated as natural. He's undersaturated at his 3rd, and his 4th was oh wow. There's a lot of swarm host action going on. Ultralist play, and it looks like those mutas are going to go down. So even with the Ultralists from the Zerg player, couldn't quite. Oh, and that's the GG. He has quit the game. So good game from both players. I thought there was times where I thought either of the players could have won that, and I thought the Protoss made kind of a heroic comeback there.
It actually looks like the Zerg player might have still been in the game. I think he left too early.
I think he quit early. Honestly, I mean, he was still on equal base count. He could have. The Protoss army wasn't that big. It wasn't so big that he couldn't have at least tried to use the remaining larvae he had to get some sort of maybe even mass roach. Like if he had gone mass roach with all of his remaining larvae, he probably could have held that off. Because roaches are very good against stalkers, and the colossi without the stalkers are basically just dead colossi.
Definitely. And also, I noticed that the Zerg player did not get corruptors, which completely shut down colossi. Right.
I mean, it's just like if you were a Terran player and you went in to fight a Protoss with 0 Vikings and no air to air. I mean, there's no reason not to get air to air if you know that he's making Colossus, because it's definitely the hard counter to it. And honestly, that was a 30-minute game. If you don't want to be stuck with those corruptors after you're done killing his Colossi, go Broodlords. You know, I mean, that's a really powerful unit.
Definitely. It did look like that last engagement was very bad for the Zerg player, as the infestors just didn't have enough room to work their magic.
No, they didn't. Like, if I mean, there were a lot of infestors there. I mean, they could have put down a fungal infested Terran from all of those infestors could have killed the whole Protoss army if they had had room. But the Protoss player was able to find a position where those infestors just couldn't space out enough to do what they wanted to.
Yep. Alright, and that concludes the cast. Until next time, this is Sharp Eyes, and
This is Crucifix.
signing off.
Peace.